Hey there, Kaysha.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. And sorry that we started a little bit late. Well, quite a bit late. I obviously did not understand um, the time difference in different places, and then I ended up lagging a little bit behind because of the podcast. And hello, HVSC, by the way. How's it going? Feel free to come up if you'd like at some point. Um, So yeah, Casey, Kate, let me just bring context. So why are we talking about crypto, Bitcoin, and finance? I obviously don't know anything about it. Like I told you guys at the beginning, I hate money. I'm awful at it. I'm really the kind of person, because I hate money. I just I'll work, I'll spend all my money on the bills that I have, and then I'll just like save the rest and not do anything with it because like I don't know what to do with it. I don't really go out and have fun. I don't really care. I'm not really a high spender unless I need something, and I don't know anything about investing. So, Casey came on a podcast of ours a little while ago, and he started mentioning about like crypto and transferring things, in different countries like Dubai or whatever, making just easy transfers, things like that. And I was like, oh well, you know, eventually I'll, make my brain bleed to actually do information. And so I called him the other day and I promise you my brain was bleeding. So I suggested we just come on and have a space. And that's what we're doing right now. So why don't we just start with the basics? What is crypto, or whatever you think the basics are, man? Because honestly, for me, I don't even know where to start.
Absolutely. So we had a pretty good conversation the other day, uh, and I've actually explained this very conversation to many people, and I can say I've gone for hours and hours and hours. One, because it's such an enthusiastic topic to me, because how we're able to take autonomy over our own finance is key. So this really roots to the very beginning is that we're taught, or we're really there's a big misconception of how we're taught finance in school. We're essentially taught that you save your money, you put it away, you give it to a money manager, and you let everything work out and do the rest, and you just go to your 9 to 5 job. Well, that system did work out in the 60s and the 70s, but all of a sudden when they start printing all this money, and inflation gets exorbitant due to government control, you really see how it leaves a detriment on the people. And that's the idea of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And to really start things out here for people who don't know anything about it, Bitcoin is the first, I would say, successful decentralized cryptocurrency that has actually gone mainstream and is currently the 11th overall largest asset in the world. So essentially, it was created in 2008 by an unknown person, an anonymous group. We don't necessarily know if it's a person or just necessarily a set of individuals, but it is known as Satoshi Nakamoto. That is the head creator of Bitcoin. He essentially holds a large amount of Bitcoin, is completely off the grid, and does not actually have any sort of like, basically, he's not like a CEO. He's not sitting here making decisions for Bitcoin like Elon Musk. Like an actual company. The ideals and the fundamental uh, parts of Bitcoin is that it's autonomous. It's your own bank in essence. When this protocol was created in 2008 by Satoshi Nakamoto, it was really a rival to the banking system. We obviously saw during that same year in 2008, it was the housing crisis. I mean, we saw the economy in arguably one of the worst spots in the last 100 years, and obviously not including the Great Depression. But we saw an egregious economy, and S&P was down to levels we've never seen. So this was, in my opinion, the greatest achievement done in human civilization. The fact that we're able to actually take physical control of our own money. I know many people have tons of questions on this. I want to make sure I'm not, because I can keep going and going and going. But I want to make sure we cover every topic here about Bitcoin, what's key, uh, because there's so many things here. Just in the beginning stages of understanding Bitcoin, you must know that it is a currency, just like it's not like the U.S. dollar, but is essentially spending wise, and holding it is it is something that is tradable like the US dollar, a currency. It's a centralized open source, like I said, it's a peer-to-peer network, and it's also permissionless, immutable, durable, and transferable. And in my opinion, it's, as long as the power grid does not go out, it's definitely the best computerized system or computational system in the world. So, like I said, I'm sure there's tons of questions. I don't want to get too far ahead here about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But is there anything you think I should, start with the basics, Kaysha?
Okay, so I'm pretty much like five in this realm of endeavor. Not even that, like maybe 5 days old. But um, so you've mentioned that crypto is pretty much money. Um, what is the next? Okay, how does it so I guess I'll ask questions that I feel like people have no idea what it is would ask. How do you use, so it's money. How do you use it? How can it be used? I guess that's a good way. How can it be used, and what's the benefit of using it that way as opposed to cash or um, other, CBDC or whatever else is on the market?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it's not necessarily used, in my opinion, primarily as a spending currency like cash, like the US dollar. The primary goal of Bitcoin is to store money as long as possible throughout cyberspace. So if you want to take money and you want to store it for the next 100 years and get the best possible value out of your wealth, that's what you want to do. And it's essentially, it's not how we can move money from, the United States to Japan. It's how can we move money from now to the year 2140. So it's a really complex system when you think about it. But like I said, this is like essentially your own bank. It's a secure way to have your own wealth stored. And the idea is not to spend it. The idea is, like, I haven't gone down this path yet, but there are only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be created. Unlike the US dollar, where they can print endless amounts of dollars and they're doing it as we speak, it's not that way with Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, like I said, 21 million will ever exist, and there are currently 20 million that have been mined. And what I mean by mine is, picture how the Federal Reserve, that physical machine prints the dollars, right? Something, every currency has to run on some sort of software, some sort of computational system to be deemed a currency. And Bitcoin runs on something called miners, which is the process of adding transactions uh, transaction records to the blockchain, essentially. And these are just essentially like really big computers, like you'd picture back in the 1970s when Steve Jobs and all them started, getting into that technology. Just picture a really big computer, and a lot of them are just in minor, or a lot of them are in warehouses, big places to, create the currency. And essentially, what it does, these powerful miners are able to, are computers that are able to solve complex math problems. And by solving these problems, the Bitcoin block, it's called the Bitcoin block rewards for mining the Bitcoin. They're rewarded. So basically, people who have these miners are the ones creating the Bitcoin, and anyone can do it. And back to the main point, though, that is the idea of Bitcoin. It's not like you want to get it and spend it. It's not like you want like a stock or even a little crypto coin where you buy it and you wait for a pump and then you sell it. I personally don't think that's the way to go, and everyone will agree with me that's a Bitcoin activist, is that you want to store this as long as you possibly can, because we know there's only a certain amount of it, right? 21 million compared to an endless amount of cash that can be printed. And we've seen that with quantitative easing with the last 2 years. The Federal Reserve has essentially doubled the cash supply. So, a lot of people don't like to hear this, but it's all in all, it's the truth. So you think of inflation, right? So I mean, we're told that it's been, I think, let's just say about 20-25% in the last 2 years combined, probably more. But they're not going to also tell you, by printing that double, or basically doubling the money supply, they're devaluing everyone, or that dollar 50% of its worth. So everyone, therefore, that's in possession of that dollar just lost 50% of that dollar's worth. So it's hard for some people to understand inflation and how, monetary value. But when you're in all essence, if you have $10,000 in the bank, that $10,000 after the quantitative easing, and they printed doubled the money supply, like I said, that that was a strict detriment on the people, and we're seeing it today. I mean, the fact that, like I said, that $10,000 is now spends like $5,000. It doesn't that 10,000 isn't necessarily 5,000 when you look at your bank account, but it will spend like that at the grocery store, buying a car, anything. It's keeping up with inflation, and that unfortunately isn't. So that's the key understanding of Bitcoin. It's don't get it confused with a stock, a lousy crypto token, which we'll talk about here soon. We'll get into what exactly the different crypto tokens are called, and which ones to avoid. But it's completely different than anything we've ever seen, and I think it's the most humanitarian act that's ever been done in human history when you really think about it. Let alone this, obviously this century. And I think we're still in the early stages of this revolution. I compare it a lot to the 1920s when they were selling blocks of Manhattan. Bitcoin was created in 2008. It's 2024. I think we're still very early, and we've yet to actually see the true potential. And in all perspective, there are companies that do accept payment. Tesla, MicroStrategy, Grayscale. There's a lot of companies that actually do trade and will accept Bitcoin for payments. And I'm not for sure, but I did hear McDonald's is working on it as well. Um, so yeah, I'm not really sure where we go from there. We can talk about tons of Bitcoin, but I just want to make sure that I answer all questions before I get too deep down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, Dad, we're literally just talking about what is crypto, business and finance. The space crashed like 10 billion times. Uh, my ears are still bleeding. I don't know what it is. Like, honestly, I really don't know what it is. This seems to be something that I really can't understand for some reason. And I don't know if it's because I just hate money and I hate finances, but I don't know. This is, for some reason, it's like I listen to this and my brain starts bleeding. But if you are listening, Dad, obviously you might be able to make it more simple for me. I don't know.
Well, I kind of understand the way it works. Like I haven't had whole lot of time to work at it, but to look at it. But what I did look at in Bitcoin initially, and this was long before it was very valuable. It was a lot cheaper, and the level of complexity that they made to like at the time to do a wallet, it was just ridiculous. And then most of the people that I knew that were using it were maybe like less than stellar individuals. Let's just say.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good way to put it, because it was very skeptical before 2017, and even now some people still are. But I can say trying to buy Bitcoin in 2015 and before was extremely difficult. You couldn't, like, now today you can just go on any exchange or you can buy Bitcoin within minutes. Yeah, no. And you'll hear a lot of rumors, especially with other coins, and it gets very confusing for people, especially if you're just now trying to understand the space. But basically, I can just go through there's some advantages compared to the US dollar. So with Bitcoin, there's lower transaction fees. You have faster cross-border payments, which means no intermediary parties. You're not sending from bank to bank if you're trying to send money out of the country. And it's also, obviously, it's not government controlled, or there's no financial institution that controls it. But we will get into, or at least I want to talk about the spot ETF Bitcoin, which is actually trending news as we speak. There was some news that I'll break in a little bit that I got some inside information basically on what companies are going to be pursuing this, and basically is going to be approved by the SEC for trying to get their spot ETF. But that's another story. Getting back to the basic understanding though, it's the increase the privacy, having control of your money, not relying on the Federal Reserve, which is the government, on their on their monetary policies, which, it goes a long way. That's their taxes. That's the full faith and credit of the U.S. dollar. And it's also, it's having faith in their decision making when it comes to military, gas, I mean, resources. So you're really putting everything on the United States. You're betting everything on them if you, in all essence, if you literally only put everything in the U.S. dollar. That's the U.S. dollar. There's a lot of other ways to compare it to Bitcoin and compare and contrast. Um, but I mean, yeah, like I said, the idea is that it's anonymous. It's open source. You can send You can send any payment, any amount. That's another thing, though. There's no amount of Bitcoin that you'd be restricted from sending. If I wanted to send 2 million Bitcoin to anyone in the world at any given time, I would be able to. I would have to pay a very small transaction fee. But in all essence, if you're really trying to send money cross border and basically to other countries, you would be more enticed to go to something like Bitcoin or a decentralized cryptocurrency that's, one, not government controlled, and two, you're gonna get your money a lot faster in all essence. So uh, yeah, I can keep going. There's a ton that involves, like, the history of Bitcoin. There's a lot that, with the today's market and history, I mean, stories with, like, Sam Bankman-Fried. There's a ton that you'll hear about the topic, and it's very easy to get confused. So I can go into basically something we call protection. Okay, so there's when you have
Just,
Bitcoin base. I'm sorry, you
just,
can go.
I just wanted to say something quickly before you went ahead.
Sure.
The Federal Reserve, not the government. That's a mistake a lot of people make. If you actually look at the Federal Reserve, while it may dictate government policy, it is not the government. The money that's being backed, like the whatever was backing currency or the people who are behind the Federal Reserve, they're private people, not the government. Central banks are never really, they may operate as, say, for in Canada, the Bank of Canada, but they're borrowing money from private people. They shifted that away to basically redistribute the wealth. And that's why they make it prohibitive to go across the countries. I think each country should control the currency and remain in the hands of the people, but the institutions should be private institutions so they can move currency. And I don't have a problem with Bitcoin at all, in having different forms of doing things. I just think that we should not just restrict it to one thing where people have control. Because if you have multiple things, then it's better for everybody, right? I believe in more competition, not less.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So I'm a big proponent of not. I'm not just saying only buy Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin is the only currency that will ever make it. I think there are a ton of different uses for a ton of different currencies, and even if we can revive the U.S. dollar, I think it still has potential. I'm not completely selling out the U.S. dollar, but yeah, no, Bitcoin, even things like Ethereum. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we can use, and even gold has its intrinsic value. So there's a lot of yeah, I get your point with the Federal Reserve there. Yeah, there is a bit of a difference, and people can get confused. But all in all, what I'm saying is, I guess that would you rather bet on an autonomous open source system, or rather something that's it's manipulated, it's controlled, and whether you're talking about, yeah, the federal government or the Federal Reserve, in this case the Federal Reserve. I mean, we've seen that they continuously print, and that's the main source of the issue, and obviously protecting your wealth. And it honestly doesn't seem like they have too much of a restriction with how they print. I mean, they really, obviously there's a national debt limit, but they're really kind of out of control in the way I see it, and that's what really raised my eyes in about 2019, 2020. That was when I became a full advocate of Bitcoin, uh, based on based on just really, I think COVID was part of it. COVID was a big, eye opener for a lot of people. Really just pointed me in the right direction of understanding finance. But They're actually, I will break the news today. So there was something called the Bitcoin Spot ETF, and an ETF, it's a it's a stock term. It's an exchange traded fund. So the SEC, it's an SEC registered investment that companies offer to investors as a way to pool their money in a fund and in stocks, bonds, and other assets. And returns, the investors will receive an interest on the fund. So essentially, BlackRock, some of the one of the largest institutions and a lot of the big finance companies like or financial industries like Fidelity, they're essentially trying to launch an ETF backed by Bitcoin. So even these financial industries that are quite the opposite of what Bitcoin is, they understand that there's value to it. So they actually, they want to get a piece of the pie. And in all reality, they really want you to give them your money so they can take it and buy Bitcoin and control it. It's not necessarily yours. I wouldn't exactly advocate for somebody to use this, but the main importance here is that I mean the financial industries like JP Morgan, Wall Street, they are pretty much accepting this as what it is. It's not really a shady speculative currency. Our own SEC has actually declared it as property. So a lot of good news
Yeah,
with Bitcoin.
I just want to, I see that Cyber Pepe has joined us and thank you. So I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce you earlier, but how's it going? You can ask any questions or maybe you know something that I don't.
Hey, thanks for bringing me up here, and that was a great job, Casey, explaining Bitcoin. And I just wanted to ask, does anybody know what a blockchain is?
Yeah, no, I can jump in on there. So yeah, that's a good question. So the blockchain is the best way to explain how the transactions work. So essentially, when we talk about how the Bitcoin's sent, like I said, it's a peer-to-peer network. You send it from one point to the other. Well, when you're sending it, obviously it's not physical, right? It's in cyberspace. And when you send it through cyberspace, it runs on something called the blockchain. And when you send it through the blockchain, it runs on something called nodes. And it's a lot easier if we had a physical screen here where I could show this. I can probably send some links below to physically see this. But it's a lot easier when you have a visual of what it is. But essentially, it's just a way. It's a secure network. That validates the transactions. So kind of like how a bank validates something, that's just the way that they do it with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, etc. It's just a little bit different, but in my opinion, it's more secure. And obviously, we talked about the blockchain offers lower transaction fees compared to the banks when we talk about cross-border payments. So yeah, and that's a great question. It's a good way to summarize the actual payments of Bitcoin. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Sorry, Casey, that was more of like a rhetorical question, but that was definitely a great answer. But I was just trying to simplify it. It's really just a public ledger that's available across a network. So you can think of
Yeah,
it like, you have an Excel spreadsheet with every transaction written down, and everybody across the network gets a copy of that. And every time it's updated, everybody gets an update. And that keeps it pure and simple.
yeah, no, that's a great. I forgot to add. It's on verified via Ledger. So yeah, great point there. But yeah, no, definitely feel free to step in and help me out with explaining things because I can keep going and going and going, and I feel like sometimes I just I have, I guess I wouldn't say I have too much information. I just keep going down the rabbit hole, and it's very difficult, I guess, at times to explain to people that don't have a, I guess, grasp on the concept. But yeah,
Yeah,
Uh,
I know what you mean. I go through it all the time too, dude.
yeah, it's
It's
never
such
it's
an
no,
never
amazing,
honest,
technology mixed with currency. It's never really happened in our history that we know of, right? So this is the first time where we actually have, an advancement in technology that's like, unfathomably valuable, right? Like we don't even know the true and value of blockchain and Bitcoin and all the derivatives of that, right?
Yeah, no, it's truly remarkable. That's why I was so enticed into Bitcoin in the first place because I just can't believe how this was physically possible and someone actually corrected this. And this wasn't the first time that actually someone tried. There were things down the road before in the 90s and early 2000s called Bitcash, Digigold, I believe. So this was the first successful digital currency and peer-to-peer network that, I mean, it had every chance to fail, in my opinion. I think it had every chance to fail in 2010 before it went mainstream. I think it had a chance to fail in 2019 when we saw it go down to, I think, 11, 12,000. And everyone said, oh, it's dead, it's dead. Well, sure enough, it repeated the same cycle that it's always done since it started. And it came around and surprised everybody. And today, the current price, last I checked, was 46,000. I'm not. I mean, it could be, honestly, with the ETF news, it's probably very volatile right now. But yeah, no, it's really it's insane how this is possible, and it's very remarkable. And I'll sit here and advocate this until the end, honestly.
Not to mention the whole Ethereum blockchain is another step in the evolution of Bitcoin. You know, like the Ethereum network also has tokens on it as well. And those tokens come with something called smart contracts. And these smart contracts are basically another evolution in the Bitcoin blockchain steps. And you can basically do all sorts of things like maybe buy a house, create your own currency, create a currency that deflates in value, like the Pepe that I have currently. And these things are like just going to keep taking off and evolving with the time.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I was actually going to get into that, the 6 different types of crypto tokens that for everyone that's not familiar. So you have we talked about the smart contracts. That's like Cardano. That's a pretty large currency. Those are more. Let's see. So we have the transactional. We'll start at the very beginning. The transactional, that's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Stellar. That's just simply providing a straightforward, fast way of transferring money, the simplest way of transferring currency. And then you have governance, which allows holders to vote on proposals and make decisions regarding that particular blockchain or decentralized platform. So like you have Maker, Aave, that's basically those. So it's a little bit different. And then you have utility tokens, which is more Web3, kind of like you said, smart contracts. That's where you have Cardano, Filecoin. Then you move on to security. That's essentially representing tangible assets like stocks and bonds. There you have props token, blockchain capital, Siacoin. And then you have the platform tokens, which are support a decentralized application. Uniswap is one. A lot of Ethereum tokens, and then lastly you have NFT, non-fungible tokens, which you'll hear a lot about those with scams. I personally do not buy any NFTs. I have before just to mess around, but those are another story. But yeah, essentially those are the 6 different types of crypto tokens. So it's not like there's only Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and there's all different sorts of, there's like a different plethoras of different currencies for different uses. So back to kind of what we said earlier, it's not like one currency is going to define everything. This strictly shows that these decentralized currencies have different uses, like the smart contracts. Obviously, Bitcoin more of a savings. Me personally, I think the best way that if somebody could possibly replicate Tether or some sort of stabilized dollar or maybe some sort of like stable coin on the Bitcoin blockchain, I think that would also be good too with Bitcoin. So tons of options out there when it comes to currencies and finance, but overall in the decentralized finance space, it looks pretty good. But I'm trying to think of what else we can talk about here. There's obviously self-custody when you talk about wallets. Anyone have any questions or want to butt in on that?
Dad, you might be following a little bit more like logically than me. I feel like, yeah, maybe you have something.
No, that's fine. Just keep talking. I'm listening. When I have
Yeah.
something, I'll jump in.
Okay, so as far as I understand, this is like digital money. It's like a wallet. I've never felt so stupid in my life, by the way. But
No, you're good. Yeah. So
and hey
I'm
guys,
sorry.
thank
Go
you
ahead.
for Oh, sorry. No, anyone who's listening, please tweet out this space or X out the post space so more people can come and, talk about this and probably contribute. But what I understand so far, this is like a wallet. It's digital. That I'm going to come to in a second. Sorry. It's digital. You can like transfer things to different countries. My problem is, and I explained this to Kacee before, my problem was more understanding like, okay, well, each coin, its value is so and so. There's only a certain amount of coins, and each person has their own wallet for their own type of coin. And if you can, like, if each coin is like 40 to 60K, what regular person is really using the coin, or how is it really benefiting them if you have to pay people in the coins? And anyways, Dad, you were going to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying with doing some of this, I will say that it might be advantageous to get some visuals to sort of maybe show people a little bit of what's happening, right, in
Yeah,
simplified terms.
did you get, sorry, Dad, did you get those, Kacee? We actually did talk about visuals.
Yeah, I actually just sent something in the link below or in the comment section. That just essentially looking at what the price of Bitcoin has looked like since 2008. So you look at 2008, so I believe that says 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just an idea of what the overall price has been. But I can send things down below if you guys have any questions about any visuals.
I don't see any comments here. Maybe you could try again. And Dad, I don't know if you were going to say anything else. Or maybe if you see it, Dad, can you put it up in the nest?
I don't see anything in the comments at all.
Yeah, me neither.
So
I just sent
weird.
something. I'm not sure.
Oh, I think it just popped up. The connection was really weird.
Yep. So from 2011 to 2023. So that's the chart that I just sent, just as an idea to understand, how it moves over time.
Okay, so say we're starting in 2013, where it's like it was $100 per Bitcoin in 2013, and now
Yep.
it's 7K
It wasn't even a penny in
for one
2009.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, but the thing is that you're missing is that you can divide each individual Bitcoin up to 100 million times. So you don't have to get
What?
a $60,000 Bitcoin.
Wait a
That's true. Yep.
second.
So
So
it's
you can
fractional.
buy
Yep.
a bit. So what's the lowest you can buy a Bitcoin for?
You can divide each Bitcoin down by 100 million times. So I'm not sure what the lowest denominator. It's probably the Satoshi, which is 0.0008. So there's 8 zeros in front of it.
Oh gosh, that's quite interesting. So then at the same time, so the people who bought okay, here's my question. The people who say bought the Bitcoins in 2013 for like $100 or less, are those same Bitcoins now worth 70K each?
Yes, they are, but
Yep.
they can be
Oh
divided out.
my God. What the hell?
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's because the dollar is also rapidly decreasing in value through inflation, and Bitcoin is becoming more scarce every year through this thing called the halving cycle, where every few years the miners who run the network they basically receive less payments. So it's like a gold. Like if you're mining for gold in the beginning, everybody's getting gold, but then towards the end, there's no more gold. The gold becomes more scarce and it becomes harder to mine. So the gold that you have and you find becomes more valuable. It's the same principle. It's based on the game theory because, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, it just basically is that when they issued Bitcoin, like let's just say they did 100,000 Bitcoin, which is not what they did, but we'll just use that as an example. They just only issued 100,000 Bitcoin. They're not going to increase the supply or anything. So essentially, everything is the dollar fluctuates. The amount of Bitcoin stays stable. So it will increase or decrease based on the value of other things, but it's going to basically have the same amount. So if you have one Bitcoin, your value will go up as other things change, right? And this is why you're seeing the value of Bitcoin. So people are using Bitcoin to put their assets in because they want something that's more stable, because the dollars are just going out of control because of inflation and printing more money, where they're not printing truckloads of Bitcoin, right? There's just a limited supply. So that's why, like what he was saying. So, yeah.
I feel like there's a less technical way to say that. Like, I just really feel like there is a more emotional way to say that. And I don't want to say it like that, but I feel like there's a more like less painful. I don't understand why my brain is just not functioning. Like, I hear like money and like numbers, and my
If
brain
you
just turns
got
off.
if you got one bucket of ice cream to share, it becomes more valuable if you have 10 people eating that bucket of ice cream, right? Especially when you're getting down to the last bit, because it's a limited supply, right? That's really all it is.
And then to
Oh,
top
so
it
it's like
all
a
off,
literal.
sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, to top it all off, like there are tokens now where the smart contracts actually burn the tokens, and they actually make them deflationary. So if you start out with 1 billion, you could end up going down and getting less and less through time. So basically what will happen is you'll start out with 1 billion, and then if you put in the smart contract, hey, we're going to delete tokens, basically burning them, and get rid of these tokens every 2 hours, you're going to basically make that token even more scarce than it already was. So that will also drive the value of that token up.
Wait, so it's a law of scarcity pretty much. So like the more people, so like pretty much with the ice cream, if I have this ice cream bucket and I like it and it's amazing and delicious, but like 100 other people want that same bucket of ice cream and want to eat out of it, each share of it just becomes much more expensive because of how many people have to distribute it or
Exactly. And
use
then
it.
also, like, yeah, exactly. And like I was saying about with the smart contract, like with the Pepe community token that I like, in the smart contract, it's actually deleting or burning those tokens every 2 hours. So it'd be like if you had the bucket of ice cream, but you were also taking out some and melting it every 2 hours. So that bucket of ice cream becomes even more valuable because you're getting rid of some of that ice cream as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, but I will add though, there is a bit of a difference though. So when we talk about securities versus property, so the security, like something, one of those tokens you're talking about, like Pepe, even believe Dogecoin, any of those tokens, they essentially, my point here, they essentially can't. I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought.
Was it about like he said they like uh slowly like burning some of them? And you said
Yeah,
something
yeah,
about
I'm sorry. Yeah,
security.
yeah. So you're right. So the thing about the like other crypto coins versus Bitcoin, when you burn some of those coins, you can also recreate more. So Vitalik, Buterin of
That's
Ethereum.
not necessarily true, Casey. It's based on the smart contract.
So you're saying even in cases like Sam Bankman-Fried, they could break that smart contract and people would still be on the hook for a loss if you're basically trusting. Same thing as a stock, right? Elon Musk. If you buy into his Tesla, you're trusting the CEO and board of directors of that company. That they're going to abide by that smart contract. In cases I've tried it, it does. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying there's a bit of a difference. I mean, I actually do have
No, that's
some
not
ADA.
necessarily true, Casey, because if the smart contract is renounced, that means that nobody can therefore go in and edit that smart contract ever again.
So give me an example. So is just Ethereum one, or are you saying like, or is Pepe one? What's? I'm just curious. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so like Ethereum is not renounced. They can edit that, but with the Pepe smart contract, it is fully renounced. So that means that nobody can ever go back and update or edit the smart contract in any way.
Okay. I'm open to. I don't know the logistics of every single coin, but I'm open to hear because I actually did buy a little bit of Pepe back then. I have it sitting, but
I just
I
Well, the
mean,
Pepe that
if
you're
there's
thinking about is probably the 0x69 Pepe. That one actually was renounced as well. But the Pepe that I'm referring to, it's called the Pepe Community Token. It
oh
actually was renounced. And then on top of it, the smart contract burns the tokens every 2 hours, Casey. So it's like not only do you have a renounced, fully audited smart contract, but you also have the burn mechanism function in there that is actually making your coins more scarce, therefore making them more valuable at the same time just for holding it.
yeah, I
I,
get the concept. What's the ticker by chance? I'm just curious.
Sorry, someone else has like some background. What were you saying, Casey?
Yeah. What's the ticker of the coin or like the ticking symbol?
It's got it's Pepe, $ PEPE, but the smart contract is if you go on my profile and you click on the at uh, Pepe community Twitter, there's the smart contract link in there, and you can check it out on Dex Tools or whatever you want to check it out on.
Yeah, now I'll check it out. I'm always interested in new forms of currency. Although I've heard of Pepe, but I don't think I've heard of the one you're referring to. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I'm always interested to hear, and I'm open-minded to alternative solutions. So is so how long have they actually been? How long has this smart contract been into place? Is this like a year? Has it been like how long has it been exactly?
It came out in August, around August 25th.
Okay, so I'm trying to think.
So
So
it's fairly new. There's less than 4,000, 5,000 holders, and it had a run up to 50 million, and it's back down to around one, pushing up to 2 million again, and the holder count's starting to go back up again. Because like a lot of people, they'll take profits when they get like those few hundred or few thousand X gains from when they got in super early, but there's a good community, and that's what it's about too. It's also about having a good community. Like that's what happened with Dogecoin. A lot of people in the beginning they took a lot of profits back in early 2014, and people said, "Oh, this is just a joke. This is just a scam. This will never recover." But now it's one of the most popular cryptocurrencies in the world, and will remain like that.
yeah, and when you say the Pepe, for instance, you're talking about, would you consider that to be a property or a security?
Uh, I don't really get into like all the semantics. Like I can't really like, give you like an actual like, Uncle Sam's like approved definition, but I would say that it's a cryptocurrency. That's what I would call it, currency,
Well, it's a
because it's
yeah,
used
no,
to
you're
buy
right.
goods and services, right?
It is, but it has legalities to it. It's either deemed security or property under the law. So something like
Under
Bitcoin,
the
actually,
US
it
law,
actually
though, that's the thing too that you have to take into account because the laws vary by nation, right?
no, they do, and that's what no, that's why cross-border payments are essential when it comes to decentralized finance. But yeah, if we're talking about in the United States, but yeah, that it does vary. So I guess it's more of a technicality, but in a sense, something like Bitcoin and actually Ethereum, I believe, was ruled a property by the SEC. It was a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and I believe Stellar. But the SEC actually they issued them and confirmed them to be actual properties. So, but there is a difference though. There like securities, for instance, something that's not actually something that could like Tesla. That's a stock. That's a security. Any publicly traded company that has a CEO and board of directors could and is not deemed a property could is deemed a security in a sense. So kind of I don't know, kind of hard. Might be kind of hard to understand. I don't know if I'm explaining it in the best way.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah, there's
explained it, but I can basically break it down into the logical, senses because the SEC is totally out of control and totally overreaching at this point.
for
And
sure.
you can just say that it's a currency, right? It's used to buy goods and services. Like if I send you one Pepe, you could send me a baseball, or you could, do some work for me. So it's the definition of a currency.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a currency. But
But I
I mean,
understand
I don't
you're
know.
like you're going with like the legality side of it, but I really can't give you a definition other than it's a currency.
Yeah. The only reason I was tied up into all this mainly is a lot with the news with the Bitcoin ETF. We're still hearing stuff as of today. But yeah, those of you, I just wanted to bring this up real quick. There actually was breaking information today that this afternoon the Bitcoin ETF will start trading on SIBO tomorrow, pending the SEC approval. So it'll be VanEck, Fidelity, Franklin, Ark Invest, Wisdom Tree, and Invesco Galaxy are all pending SEC approval. Basically, they're going to implement it into the funds where you can buy or purchase the ETF as a consumer. So if you're a Bitcoiner, this is good news. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Kacee. It's definitely great news for all of us, and I'm so happy about it. We've come such a long way, man.
Absolutely. Ignorant, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say I hate crypto because it's just like stocks. Like, why don't y'all just get something more fast paced like options? I'm an options trader. All that stock.
Buy some
It's not like
futures.
stocks. It's not like stocks.
But it is in the sense that like the
No, it's
returns
not.
are in the sense
It's a
that the
lot more riskier.
returns crypto.
No, options trading. That's
Oh
like
yeah,
that's like
yeah,
going to the casino.
yeah. I know.
If you want something
But
like that,
Stocks.
they're
The stock
advanced.
market's fully
wait, hold
corrupt,
on, yeah,
and it's
hold on,
not
hold
the
on, hold on.
same thing.
Hold on, because I'm not looking to just get like 2% back on a good day. I'm looking to get like that, like the stock market went up like 2% on Microsoft almost, and the return on the premiums was at least 600%. So I'm looking to get those type of returns on my disposable income. I'm not looking to get like 2 cents back or because the only time I would trade like crypto is like if I had like $10,000 and I wanted to like live off of like that 2% that you'll maybe get on that week back. That's what I would trade crypto for. But I
That's
trade
Hey, ignorant,
options.
if you're
kind of
making
what
2 cents
crypto
in crypto,
trading
you're
is.
definitely doing it wrong, man, because
No,
it's one of the
I'm
best
not. I'm
vehicles.
not. I'm not
Yeah, it's one of
looking
the
to
best
trade crypto.
vehicles to make
Yeah,
it.
but
Well,
if you have
if you're
if
saying
you
it
have
like that, that's
if you have
not
like
too.
ten
That's
thousand
nothing.
dollars, if you have like $10,000, yeah, crypto. But like,
No, you can
nah.
actually do a lot with like $50 if you get into some of these small
And wait,
market
how long?
capital.
And wait, how long?
It depends. You could put in $50 today, and then tomorrow you could wake up with millions of dollars. That's already happened with coins like
I got
Shiba Inu.
I
Well,
got a
if
four,
that was
I
true,
got a
then
400x
everybody would be
literally
rich.
Wait,
5
Hold on,
minutes
hold
okay,
on.
ago.
let me reset for a second. Let me reset. If he's gonna ask that, please answer after ignorant finishes. But
Yeah.
my question is, if you can't take 50 and make millions today or tomorrow, whatever, how do you know how to read those things, first of all? But please answer after ignorant finishes. I think he's still doing something.
Yeah, because I mean, like you can say could, but I want to know because I'm just a person that wants to get something done now. 2% down or up, that translate into how into whatever profit percentage is on the options market. That's something that I'm more inclined to do. But the crypto thing is, it's like on a good day, like you'll probably get like 2% on average.
That's
Like
wrong. I'm sorry.
not on average in the sense that like you're just getting 2% back, but like you won't have like a normal week where you're getting 10% back that week or something, like or it goes up 10%. That's just not what I've been seeing, at least on the secure crypto markets with like Bitcoin or Dogecoin, because Dogecoin been in the gutter since after the pandemic. I mean, you could trade it going up, you could trade it going down, but I just want it to not matter if it is going to be that gem of a day or if it's not. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's a free market all in all. Everyone can have their own thoughts of how they want to invest. But I will say when it comes to options trading, the get rich quick kind of things, it's very, very easy to lose your entire wealth from, trying to the get rich quick schemes. And not even that's a scheme, it's just when you have a planned strategy in motion on top of doing things like that, I think you'll play your cards a little bit better.
Yeah, you have to like take on options trading and stuff. You have to risk management assess. So like if I'm losing like $100 that day, I'm not gonna keep trading. because usually I enter the market with like $1,000, $1,100, and I trade off of that. And if I lose like 10%, like I'm not going to keep trading that day. I'm going to wait till the next day until it's not as corrupt as y'all were saying, because it's a lot of dark pools of money in which influences the market and stuff, where they just sell off or they just buy more, and it's very corrupt in that sense. Um, so that's you just got to risk management assess, and I don't really see how I can risk management assess, because to me it's just like trading AMC. It felt like a cult, like I was in a cult when I was trading AMC. Um, because I would wait. I got out at the right time, and then I saw everybody saying, "Wait, wait, wait," and it's never been the same ever since. It's just it's been below $52 when I traded it, and then it spikes up to like maybe $16 or $40 or something. I got out at like $52 when, and I think it kept going. No, I don't think it kept going up, but it just wasn't the same for like a year, and I'm like not looking to do those like types of returns or whatever not. But I mean, you could probably short sell it. Who knows? But I mean, you probably can. But I just don't really look for those type of returns. I'm more greedy in that
I
sense.
think you're comparing apples to oranges, to be real with you, and I do know about it. So if you want to ask away, go ahead. But if you're seeing those type
Yeah,
of returns, you're betting, you're putting your money in the wrong places.
yeah. I ask you a question. I'll say, what, where, where can you find the returns in which gets my mouth like watery? Like I want to like actually like like I'm hungry for it. I'm looking to actually put my money in and get something back for certain. Not for certain, but like how I trade on the market. Like what,
Well,
like what,
yeah.
what
Well, I
gets
can't
you
give you
out of bed
financial
to trade
advice,
crypto?
ignorant. I can't really give you financial advice, but for example, with this Pepe community token that's on my profile, right, with an amazing smart contract. It went from less than $1 million up to $50 million, right? So if you were able to take your $50 or your $5,000, you could have, made, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a few days. So
A
there's
few
that, and there's
days.
also,
Are you
yeah,
talking about a few? Wait, hold on. Let me pause you right there. Are you talking about in a few days in the sense that uh, it happened? It it happened to happen those few days, or are you saying like for certain? Not like
for certain, for certain.
because I'm not looking to wait out of the 365 days of the year, these two gems of a days of a sort. I'm not looking to do that. I
Well, I
want
know
to
that
trade
there's like,
actively.
a lot of other people that would do that, and
No,
that's just the
I'm not
way it
that.
goes. You
I'm
don't
not
get
that type of
everything you
person.
want.
No, I'm not that
It's
type.
okay.
No, but I get everything I want out of options trading. That's what I'm trying to convey. That's what I'm saying.
But like I said, I think you're comparing apples to oranges. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I mean, if I have like a lot of money, yeah, I would do what you're saying. But no, I have like disposable income. I'm a college student. I'm broke. So if I have $50 one day and I want to put it in the market and use my what is it called? Like when you analyze the market and stuff. I forgot what that's called. But yeah, I'm gonna analyze the market and try to get those returns that my skill set is for or whatever. So that's what I do, so that I can, go out shopping and get like my deposit back or whatever, and deposit money in my bank account the next day or of a sort. If you understand what I'm saying, that's what I try to do. I'm not looking to really do that, and that's okay. That's okay because people have different like uh, wants. I just want something in which like gets my adrenaline going like each day and stuff like that, as if I'm like hustling of a sort. I don't feel like I'm really hustling on the crypto market.
Well, I don't, that's what I feel like is like really interesting, because that's kind of my thing too. I'm not really a risk taker when it comes to money, and don't mind me, guys. I'm actually eating a snack. My brain is bleeding like to the nth degree. Um, I hate money, and like I even hate like this like whole investing thing. Like there's so much risk, there's so much things you have to consider. You have to like watch the market, and it's like I just want to pay for something or just like work and like get some money, or I don't know, like it sounds like it could be beneficial, but that get money quick kind of thing, it's like
It's
I don't even know how to analyze that or even make sense of it. And
it's
I feel
it's
like it could be, huh?
it's very beneficial in the sense that if it because I know exactly what it's saying, like the gems of a day, because if you trade on after like on the day that the head of the Fed is speaking of a sort, the market is very volatile, and that's how I kind of got like $20 and turned it into $3,000 like in a month. That's something that I did one time, and that's I just don't feel like I could do that or analyze the crypto market in a way where I'm like, ooh, it's going to go up 1,000% this time. I just don't feel like I can do that.
You could.
Um,
Well,
A lot of people are
how do
doing it.
you do it
I've done it.
properly? Like, how are you
yeah,
supposed to do it properly?
yeah, because I mean, you can like see like if people are interested in this one coin, but that's very conventional in the sense that you have to actually collect this support to back this coin, and you really just can't control that in the conventional sense of gathering support behind one thing.
Well, I can say that
That's true. How do you get, sorry, how do you guys garner the support of everybody wanting to rush over to this one ice cream bucket and be like, this is the most delicious ice cream. You need to have this one when they're all coins. Is it not all the same coins? Like, are they not, like, what does the coin have to offer that makes it so valuable? This, I think, is what I'm confused about. Where's the value
Yeah,
coming
they're
from
not
the
all the
coin?
same. Like I
and
mentioned
there is a
earlier, there's the different smart contracts, there's different tokenomics. Like Bitcoin will only ever have 21 million Bitcoin and they have to be mined every 10 minutes, while something like Pepe Community Token will only ever have 1 billion to start and constantly burn tokens every 2 hours because of the immutable, non-changeable smart contract that was renounced on the blockchain. So there's different tokens and they're not all the same by any means.
But I feel
Oh,
like you
so the
can.
value itself just strictly comes from how much was created and it can be redistributed at period, just the scarcity of it.
really supply and demand
It's
as well.
supply and
So
But
demand,
people
yeah.
look, but
really,
hold
yeah.
on, because anybody can go online and just create a coin, like and like
They
that's literally
can.
I saw a video in which somebody
Anybody
created
can
like
also create a stock, right? It's an apple to an
Yep.
orange, man.
yeah, but you have to produce some type of value, like some
No,
type
you do
of.
not.
But hold on,
Is
let me explain what I
What was Sam
let me hold on,
Bankman-Fried
let me
doing?
explain
I
what I
mean,
mean by that. Let me explain what I mean by that, because Tesla is kind of trades like a meme stock of a sort, but it's kind the value now is at $700 billion. It's really worth like 50 billion, I think, and it's the sense that they think that it's going to expand to be a bigger market of clean energy type cars that they're going to be expanding upon in the future. That's kind of what I mean by value. They see a value in the idea of um, where they're going in their direction in that specific energy industry. But me sitting in the bed, clicking a button, and you know, creating like millions of coins just doesn't even sound right. And it just sounds as if though you're basically the popular kid, and you have people coming around and buying the coin because you said so, or sort because you're just popular, and so that and by contact that coin is popular as well. That's what it feels like. What y'all are talking about,
that's
because
actually the word. I will say that's not at all what I've been saying. Me personally, I'm an advocate for strictly Bitcoin, and
yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah, yeah, I will not, and I will not promote any security because it's actually illegal. I mean, at least in the United States it is. I don't know where everybody's located, nor should you have to disclose that.
like I
But
understand Bitcoin. I understand
yeah,
Bitcoin because it's I mean it's Bitcoin. I mean
well, here's another
it
thing
has
though.
that
I'll say
staple now.
it does. And here's another thing though. I'll say because I feel like we're talking a lot of speculative things and kind of guessing and just going off of headline reading here. In all reality, the safest way when it comes to Wall Street, put money into the S&P index. It compounds at 11% a year. You're literally betting on the top 500 companies that are always going to exist. You're not sitting here picking stocks, which is honestly probably one of the worst ways to invest. You actually have, I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying on top of that, if you wanted to be strictly safe, you would do that. You'd buy some Bitcoin, gold, silver, real estate, etc. But when you talk about like, securities and tokens and all that, it's kind of a different story. So I guess anyone who's not really or still is understanding things, try not to mix them up. I mean, it's one conversation, but kind of split into two. So,
But like, I mean, if I wanted to conventionally trade, I would look on the these websites where they show the insider trading type S thing for like penny stocks, and those penny stocks go up, I say about like 30%, kind of after those insider info uh, is announced of a sort.
but are you saying like hand picking them or picking an index full of them?
No, I would because I have like a section on the stock market in my list. It's a list, and it's called penny stocks insiders. So I look on the insider trading websites and stuff like that, and they it says like the CIA the CEO bought such and such amount of stocks or
Yeah, so
sold such amount.
that would be
Yeah,
hand picking. That would be hand picking
yeah, I
stocks.
would
What I,
handpick those penny stocks, and
yes,
I would
so
get a
I'm not
return of 30% maybe,
and you
which
could,
is
but yeah,
better.
that's what I'm saying. Maybe, but that's also thinking about that's like picking a needle out of a haystack. And not really, but that's just kind of an idea. It's
Well,
I'm not discouraging anyone to do that. I've done it myself. I'm just saying I do not think that it's really smart to do like 80% of your investing that way. I think
yeah, I
it's
mean,
good.
because I also day trade. I don't just like put in the
Totally,
money.
yeah.
I
I
don't.
do
I
as
go
well,
with the
yeah.
direction of the market that day. So if I see that they paused the trading for that specific stock because it went up 10%, that in a short amount of time, that means it's going to boost up a little bit more after they resume the trading. And it probably go up a lot more, probably like 80% more, maybe when they specifically when they pause the trading, because that's like when everybody starts piling on, and stuff like that. So that's like my type of strategy on the stock market, looking for those penny stock traders, and going and day trading, um, on those penny stocks so that I could get a bigger return that specific day.
Yeah, and
Because I don't do that, like I don't do that whole like Apple type 2% on a good day, waiting in the waiting after like a such amount of time, because they're too big. They're that's just not me.
my bad.
Sorry, like, what does this all have to do with crypto, though? Talking about the stock market other than the ETF. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm talking about why I don't want to trade crypto. So yeah, I'm saying that there's other stuff that is more valuable in my eyes, than crypto, because I feel as though it's conventionally trading.
Crypto or
Um,
Bitcoin? Or like when you say crypto, are you saying? Like I'm kind of confused because it's a very broad
Crypto.
term when people say
Yeah,
that, I
crypto at
guess.
all. Crypto at all, because it's just. I mean, you might as well just trade on the stock market. In the sense that I'm saying on the day trading note. On the day trading note. But it's like if I overhear like a friend saying, like if I overhear Cyber Pepe saying like, you better start investing your money in crypto because it's about to go up to $5 million. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna invest a little bit here and see what happens. But I'm not just gonna wait in between those filler dates and stuff like that. It's like watching One Piece or Naruto. It's so many filler episodes. I'm not really trying to do all of that. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get to the main event.
So transitioning back to
Good
Bit.
luck, man. You're not gonna have an easy time getting rich quick, bro. That's all it comes down to.
I'm not really trying to get rich quick. I'm trying to get greater returns, than than on a day sitting waiting for crypto to go up. It just felt like that's why I mentioned AMC. It just felt like a cult, waiting, hoping. No, I don't do that. go out and I went out on the options market and I hustled to increase my money. That's what I do. I hustle. I don't hope. I don't wait. I do. That's just me.
Different strokes for different folks, brother. That's it.
Yeah, and that's all right.
But I'm in here to talk about crypto, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can transition it back to Bitcoin. I was gonna mention when it comes to Bitcoin though, I mean, there's a strategy, it's secure. I mean, there's when it comes to like when you're comparing and contrasting the the trading and day trading, there's not really any plans. There's a lot of probablys and maybes and speculation when it comes to that. When you stick to a plan, and I'm not saying put everything into that, but you at least have that on the side going with your little day trading, whatever. I mean, you're going to see returns. It's not going to be tomorrow, but 5-10 years from now, all that money that you would have lost day trading, had you put it in something that was secure and has strategy, I mean, you're probably going to wish you had at least a little bit in. I mean, especially, what we've seen with the research with Bitcoin, gold, real estate. These are actual properties that we can legally promote, unlike some securities and in many cases, I guess. And I don't think I still haven't verified whether this Pepe thing is a property or security, but I definitely will not promote anything that is a security. I'll say that.
I get what you're saying. On that. On the the waiting, like the 10 years, because that's very important. Like having like like a nest egg, is it called like
Yeah,
that?
nest
Yeah, a
egg
nest egg.
strategy,
Yeah,
diversifying. Yeah.
yeah, and because like when the way I do trading is like I do it to like pay bills or something, like for that like specific month or something like that, or go to the dentist and stuff like that, or like pay for my Tim's or something like that. So like that's what I use trading for. I don't, because I'm a college student. I don't, I don't have, and I'm Gen Z as well. So it's like obviously I'm not trying to like long term invest. I'm not trying to like, because I don't see, because the world could blow up tomorrow. Who knows? But I want now.
Yeah, and I will say that you have a higher chance of losing everything by day trading than just holding your money in Bitcoin or something, long term that actually has strategy, or like the S&P index that you're at least going to get 11% compounded every single year with the return of the market. So again, all sorts of trading, I think is awesome. I love the free markets. I love that we have the capabilities to trade decentralized finance, and we have the ability to do all these things. But I think you have to be very careful with strategies. There's speculative trading. There's going to the casino, and there's going and buying gold. There's going and buying real estate. You got to kind of decipher the two, because if you're not careful, you can. I mean, hell, I think if you're a trader, you're in the crypto market, you definitely learn the hard way at some point. You get rug pulled. I mean, you obviously you miss the price, you forget to take profits. Like, happens to me all the time. I mean, in the crypto space. So, I mean, it's
Well,
what were you saying?
that's why like my username is is what it is actually, because it's like I would like ignorantly trade on the stock market, and I'm a capitalist, so who cares? Yeah, so that's just why my username is the way it is, because I actively trade. So
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I mean, I'm not the biggest trader. I'll tap the market a little bit. Like I said, I'm very much into strategy and kind of building businesses. I'm just a bit, maybe that's just me personally. But I'd rather take risks on things I have more control of, rather than putting into a stock, putting into something that is controlled by another company or controlled by another CEO or board of directors, like how we have with Tesla stock. I mean, with any sort of publicly traded company, it is a security. If you put your money in them, you could literally lose it overnight if that company becomes insolvent, right? I mean, same
what
thing with the banking, same thing with the banks. That's the main difference with Bitcoin here that we're talking about with all this stuff. And excluding those, again, I think that Pepe thing was. I'm almost certain that it is a security, because I'm not sure if the one guy's still on here, but he didn't have an explanation for. We didn't even know if that was. So I'm gonna go with that's definitely not a property, because the SEC probably would have declared it.
Yeah,
Uh,
but do you use indicators on like the stock market?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you use like the indicators, like the trading indicators, the technical analysis?
See, I do, and I was really big into that game because I was a lot like you right when I got out of high school. I was so motivated to put $10,000 into all these coins, trust me, dude, I've done it. I've been there. I've lost tons of money, and I learned from it.
Yeah,
And I spent all that time looking at those indicators, and you can develop strategies from that. It's trust me, I've been in the same rooms with guys who are millionaires from doing it, but it's extremely difficult, and I learned the best way that
yeah.
I see you looking at indicators. I treat it the same way as when I go on and place a bet on Bet 360 for a college basketball game tonight. That's how I kind of have the same mindset. I don't put like I mean that's just me personally because I've experienced it, and I'd rather focus on other things. I don't oppose anyone that wants to go hardcore into trading, but I'll say don't feel secure, don't feel safe, expect that you're going to lose money, and if you play your cards right, maybe you can come out fortunate. Because I've been in the same room with people who have literally made millions of dollars from doing this, especially over COVID, and they frankly weren't very intelligent people. But like anybody can do it. That's the whole point. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
sitting here. I will only give legal strategies here. I won't sit here and say buy this. I'll literally say gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate, and rare collectibles if they're, I don't know, like a painting or something. I think those 5 items retain the most value in our current world and our current economy just by studying everything from like a societal perspective, economic perspective, control. I mean, I think personally those 5 things are pretty much a given. And another thing though, I will mention, like how we talked about, Bitcoin is secure. The only way that I believe that it will go down, and it will crash if this happens, if our power grid goes down. So like if we literally don't have access to electricity, and like the entire country goes down, we're not even able to have this space, Bitcoin will essentially go to zero because it's a supply and demand coin. It's a digital coin that if there's no digital access anywhere, then how on earth is what I'm saying? It will literally go to zero if the power grid goes out, which I really hope it doesn't happen. I mean, we're in a really skeptical time in the world with everything going on, but that's the only way that Bitcoin crashes, in my opinion. I think we've gone down so far that there's been so many opportunities for it to crash. I mean, it's been being adopted by its literal opposition, the regulatory financial institution, Wall Street. I mean,
I'm about to.
I think it's.
I'm about
What
to
was
go
that?
right quick. I'm about to go right quick. I gotta make a call. Okay.
That's all good. It was good talking to you.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right, who we got here? So looks like it's me. We got some listeners. All right, so yeah, we'll keep talking about Bitcoin here. Anybody has any questions, just put it in the chat or hop on and request to speak. But yeah, no, that was a lot there. I didn't intend on a bunch of crypto guys to hop on, but it was cool. I like hearing different perspectives and learning different things. I am going to do some research on that Pepe coin that's in the link. I'm not going to promote it, but I think we should all do some research to check it out and verify that. But mainly in Bitcoin, it's awesome that we have this capability of of harvesting our own finance and a lot of here's a big difference I will say, because we spent a lot of time talking about a bunch of crypto coins. Those crypto coins, that's not something that you hold for 100 years. That's something that all the people that tell you that they're enthusiastic about it and they want to buy this coin, they're only doing it until they can flip it on the upside and sell it, and someone else has to pay more for it. So I mean, does that really seem ethical? It's not a community. How is this a community if these people are literally flipping the next day and selling on each other? That seems like quite the opposite to me. So that's the the coins, the weird.
Wait a second. Just before, just on that point,
Yeah.
a community. Are you suggesting then that the scarcity within the people who own the bucket of ice cream, they're trying to make sure that they are the only ones as well who can operate within that ice cream?
Oh
Like,
no. So anybody could. So like the ice cream, anybody can operate the ice or get a piece of the ice cream. Anybody can buy the currency because it's listed on exchanges. But what
so
these
what's the
guys do,
community
right?
bit?
Yes. Well, they pretend to be a community, or they portray to be one, right? in some sense, I mean, I guess illegally promote it, but it's looked at as a community because some of these people, in a sense, I mean, in some cases, stocks, they promote this unethical or this unethical coin or company just so they can flip on the upside and sell for profit. Like, oh hey, go buy this, and then I sell it, and then so it's like I have a hard time seeing how some of these can be considered communities, but I don't know. Everybody has their own interpretation of everything, but I don't know. It just seems a bit strange to me when it comes to some like because I get links all the time for like these random things I've never heard of coins or communities to join, and it's like a lot of them are just like, oh okay, well we'll just flip it the next day, and I mean it makes so much sense, right? Because yeah, like it's cool everybody makes money, but what about the guys that lose? So I don't know. That's just my take on that. I'd love to hear if anyone else has anything to say about that.
Wait, does someone always lose when you flip and win? Because I don't want to do anything where someone loses. I would feel bad.
Well, I mean that's not just in crypto. That's technically stocks. That's pretty much everything. If you buy something and then sell it for, an increased price, someone is going to buy it for that price you sell it for. So, all in all, it's like it's the reality of the economy, but I just don't really see how in many cases how it could be considered a community. I get Bitcoin because, the logistics behind it and everything, but I have a hard time with the unsecure tokens and companies, especially some of these companies that just start out as or IPO, I'm sorry, ICOs. It just seems really skeptical. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Silicon Valley. It's a TV show about crypto. I'm sure a lot of crypto guys know about it. But it's basically like a group of guys that they start this company in Silicon Valley, and they're trying to essentially it's called Pied Piper. They basically are trying to create like a decentralized internet, and they actually get really far into the company. Like it damn near took off. It like they end up they end up harnessing a bunch of money, and they actually listed an initial coin offering. And obviously this is a make believe story, but it makes a lot of sense. They go and list the initial coin offering, and they end up losing because the company didn't take off. If you choose to go public in a company or you have a coin, it is very risky. I can't say I've done it from experience, but just watching other people do it, like you could literally destroy everything you've built if you choose to like have an initial public offering or initial coin offering. That's more of like a business kind of thing. So I'll shut up on that if you want to take over.
Sorry, were you talking about the Pepe community, Casey?
Oh, I was in a sense. I was saying in general of all communities, but or not all communities. I guess a lot of the coins that are unlisted as property via the SEC. I just have a hard time understanding the community sense because like we obviously have seen tons of rug pulls, right? Like I mean I've been rug pulled on what was it called? I can't even remember. I've been rug pulled more than enough times, but I just have a hard time, I guess, in that case, how you can clarify that as a community. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I can clarify it because, like you were saying with the rug pulls, for example, as I was mentioning earlier, the smart contract for the Pepe community is fully renounced. So that means that nobody can ever go in there and make changes and do anything to modify the tokenomics or put in a backdoor. And it's on the Ethereum blockchain, which is, a very secure blockchain up there with Bitcoin, and some would say even better, arguably. But at the end of the day, you can call your coin whatever you want to call your coin. If you want to call it Pepe Nation, Pepe World, it doesn't matter. The reality that makes it a community is that so many people are involved with it. Like the early days of the Dogecoin, right? People were all over there. The community is what made Dogecoin get pushed to almost $1, is what made Elon Musk become a fan of it. It wasn't just because, this is a stupid meme, this is a joke, this is never going to go anywhere. It was because of the community. So with the Pepe community token, it's the same situation. Yeah, there is a community behind it, actually. If you look at the Twitter and go in the Telegram, you'll see that there's a lot of people that are following it, like myself.
Yeah, I gotta ask you,
And about
personally,
the
do you think?
SEC, sorry, and about the
Yeah,
SEC,
go ahead.
Casey, like they're totally overreaching and they're totally corrupt. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
it's like their opinion on rocket science. Does it really matter?
Yeah, no, I personally do not like Gary Gensler. I think there's a bunch of corrupt people just like in Congress. But I think I'm more of like a principle person. I like defining things for what they are and clarifying things. That doesn't mean I'm like a crazy overreaching, radical person like how a lot of these guys are. But I do have to ask you though, your opinion. because Dogecoin and Bitcoin are different, but they have similarities. How do you see? I mean, could you say you are an advocate for Dogecoin, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I was gonna say is that definitions change over time too as well, Casey. If you think about a phone started out as, something that was plugged into the ground that you called somebody through an operator. Now a phone is in your hand, it's actually a supercomputer. So you can think about that as well. But as
Yeah,
far as like as far as the definitions, like what was the actual question? I'm sorry.
yeah. So I'm just curious what people think about how Dogecoin and Bitcoin could both be used in the same environment for like different purposes. Do you think one will beat the other, or do you think they have different purposes and will still be able to like flourish throughout time?
Yeah, they definitely have different purposes. They're like an apple and an orange because of the tokenomics of the different currencies. Like Bitcoin is capped at 21 million, and that's all there will ever be is 21 million. But Dogecoin is inflationary, but as time goes on, it will become deflationary because every minute 10,000 new Dogecoins are made by the blockchain. And as time goes on, the deflationary uh, rate will trend down to next to zero. So it's basically like a digital dollar where instead of it inflating and being able to just be made out of debt, it's actually going to be made by the blockchain and become deflationary as time goes on. That's why Elon loves it so much.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know that with Bitcoin. I mean, I'm sorry, Dogecoin. So is that proof of work or proof of stake?
It's proof of work, but there's talks to make it into proof of stake, like Ethereum is now.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. Yeah, yeah. I've bought some Dogecoin before. I mean, mainly a Bitcoiner only, but I will still like, I'll still dip my toes in other coins. I actually bought Dogecoin kind of like towards because obviously it hit 70 cents. I think or actually was it like 90 cents a couple years ago when it hit its
It
peak,
was about
something like that.
75, 74,
Yeah, yeah. So it
73.
actually came all the way back down to like 13 cents. I'm not really sure where it's at today, but yeah, I ended up buying some around then. Kind of just been a sitting duck. But it's really interesting to see what the next bull market will turn out to be. I mean, some will say it's this year after the halving. Some will say, I mean, I can't say for sure. I'm trying to figure out just like you guys are, but I don't know.
I think today
What do you
is the
think?
official start of the new bull run. That's just my opinion, not financial advice.
Yeah, has Bitcoin climbed at all since we've been talking? I'll check the price.
Well, what's going to happen is a lot of the people who are insider trading in the government and these big corporations like BlackRock, they're gonna sell at the right time and push it down, but it'll bounce back up because there's so much demand for it worldwide.
Yeah, I think it's what is it, the 10th or 11th largest asset in the world right now.
Oh, it's gonna surpass gold in the end.
Oh yeah, I think it will by possibly 2030. I think it's moving at an alarming rate, and especially since all the mistrust in the banking system. How we saw Silicon Valley Bank, I think it was the 25th largest bank in the world or the country, closed down. So we're seeing like a lot of distrust in the banking system overall, and I think it's starting to wake people up. Like I think the normies or the regular people who don't really think much about finance, kind of just living their daily life, because obviously everybody doesn't have all the time and the energy to look into all this. So I think just those people are actually understanding, okay, there's something's wrong here, like something seriously wrong, and then you start looking for alternative options. But I think a lot of people would really take for them, because there's some stubborn people out there. Trust me, I've tried to convince my grandparents, that some of them that are really against. I've tried to convince a lot of people that many of them actually did get on board, but some of them, it will literally, they would have to wait until their actual bank tells them they couldn't withdraw money until they started putting money in Bitcoin. That's how actually stubborn some of like I guess the baby boomers and even some millennials nowadays, they're just so stuck on traditional finance. They would actually, they would let JP Morgan or they would let Fifth Third Bank completely collapse before they put a penny into one of these cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin. I know plenty of people like that, but all in all, I mean, I think it's what 4% of the world only owns Bitcoin right now, so we're in a really early stage. And I think we look back at this conversation like 10, 20 years from now, it'll be pretty remarkable, because I mean, not only will it be triple digits by now, or I mean, I guess 100,000 plus. I mean, I think we're going to see so much, I guess, acceptance and use for it in traditional finance. Like, I just think people are going to be like looking at like, oh, well, I got to pay Bitcoin to park here. I got to pay Bitcoin for this. Like, I think it's going to be generally accepted. Like I mentioned earlier, Tesla, MicroStrategy, there's a ton of companies that are accepting Bitcoin for payment. So I mean, you could easily do that. And obviously, the spot ETF is big news. And still kind of waiting to see what's going on with that, because there was actually like fake news on X earlier today. I guess someone made a fake video or a fake leak. I'm not really still trying to catch up on that. I've been looking at a lot of news today, but I think that there was some sort of fake leak that happened earlier. But from what I heard, and I saw the link somebody sent, it does look like the Bitcoin spot ETF was approved. So kudos to that. Looking good. Um, but yeah, I mean, trying to think what else we can cover with the topic. I don't think we've actually covered self custody though, like flash drives, how you can store, actually, because obviously you don't want to have your money or all your coins on one exchange, and an exchange is like, I believe that's considered layer 3 Bitcoin. That would be buying. So if you want to buy on a Webull, if you want to buy on Binance or Coinbase, that's the easiest, most convenient way to buy Bitcoin right now. You just go in, you create an account, and you buy Bitcoin through them. So they therefore make the purchase for you. That is how I originally got started, and I think that's how pretty much every beginner gets into Bitcoin or crypto. You download some exchange you saw on some TV commercial, or because the Brooklyn Nets advertise it on their jersey. Oh wow, that's, I mean, kind of the sense of what I did back in the day. So you start there, then you realize, okay, if something happens to that exchange, in case in which it did happen to Sam Bankman-Fried with FTX, that's an exchange, or at least was. I'm not sure if it's still solvent today or if it's still around, but it literally crashed to nothing and everyone lost their assets, to my understanding. I don't know if they've received it, but I know people like Dave Portnoy who put their money into the FTX exchange are literally sitting ducks with nothing right now. So it's important to have self custody of it. You actually want to own, you want to have possession of your currency, your crypto, your Bitcoin, or it's not essentially yours, right? I mean, the way I have
But
it, I
Casey, at
have.
the same time, you're not actually going to be holding any of the Bitcoin. You're going to be holding the private keys to sign the transaction for that
That's
Bitcoin.
right. Yes, that's what I'm, yeah,
Just to
you're
get
right. So that's what I'm
technical.
getting.
I don't want people like to think, oh, I'm holding, however much Bitcoin, I'm scared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's not physical. Yeah, so you're holding. See, that's what I'm getting to. So the ledger, it's called a Nano X or Nano X ledger. I'm sorry, Ledger Nano X. That's what I believe it's
Coldware
called.
wallet. It's called a hardware wallet, cold
Yeah,
storage.
yeah, cold storage wallet. But yeah, the one I use is called Nano Ledger. There's tons of different ones out there, Trezor, but essentially, no matter what wallet you have, you're able to purchase Bitcoin through cyberspace from your phone or through the device, and it's strictly stored on that device. And the only way to get it, or basically a flash drive, the only way to have access to this, you have to literally have a 24 word seed phrase. So like you have to have 24 exact words in order to actually be able to get into the account. So it's like an extra layer of security when it comes to having self custody or having the as you said earlier, the cold storage wallet. That's what's key. Having it in cold storage, it's not access, or it's not active to where somebody could take it. It's essentially inactive, so it's offline. So having physical possession makes it your bank, right? So if you have Bitcoin in a cold storage wallet or any cryptocurrency, you're able to physically hold that. You're able to send it. It's completely yours. If there's anything you want to add on that, Cyber Pepe, go ahead.
Yeah, that was great. I just wanted to add that if you didn't want to take self-custody and be a true revolutionary, you could also just leave it on the exchange like Coinbase and they will manage it for you and secure it for you. But the downside to that is if that exchange goes down like a bank, there goes your money.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the key there. So if it is on those exchanges, it's very risky, and it could be considered gambling. I'll give you an example, right? So I think it was 2022. There was a coin I'm sure many people know. It's called Terra Luna. I actually believe I sold the coin 6 weeks before it completely went to nothing. This coin was about $60 to $70 a piece, and I think it was like in the top 10 of all crypto. It was like, I don't know what the exact market cap was, but it was millions and maybe even $1 billion. It was quite a bit. But essentially overnight, the guy who was the owner or the CEO, Do Kwon, I think it was he either did something illegal and fled. I think they ended up catching him, but he essentially, was involved in
He
criminal
rugged it.
enterprise.
He rugged it.
He wrote rug. Yep, there you go. Rug pull. It's a perfect example of a rug pull. He took the money and just took off. So, but that was a crypto. That was a currency that was one of the top 10. It wasn't. It was actually a security. It wasn't a property, because I remember the SEC did not clear that for what it was yet. But that was a good example. I mean, uh, it literally woke me up. I was like, oh crap, I gotta get my crypto and Bitcoin off of my exchange now. Like I was genuinely worried. And then a funny thing happened, because I had someone Webull, right? And Webull decides, like a year, or I think it was a long time ago. It was at least a year or two ago. They decided to delist like almost all their coins. So I had money in USDC. I had Tether. I had all sorts of Dogecoin. I think they had Dogecoin still on there, but they delisted like every single currency, and they literally gave me the money back. Like I was like, what the hell? They sold my position for me, gave me my money back, and I was like, that's insane, because I was actually at loss. I was like minus 30%, and I was like wanting to hold out. When the bull market comes back, they literally made a taxable event for me. Like because obviously whatever. That's a capital gains tax. They literally sold my position, and therefore I owe, the government a set amount of money at the end of the year. It would happen either way. It's inevitable. But my idea was I wasn't going to sell. I was going to keep for maybe a year or two, as long as I really wanted to. But they made the decision to delist it off the platform, gave me what I had in cash for that position. And that's when I was like, that really woke me up. I was like, okay, I'm getting a self-custody flash drive. Especially this is the same time with the Sam Bankman-Fried news broke, and everything was, really skeptical in the crypto market or crypto world. So I was like kind of worrying, because I had quite a bit on there. So I took it, got the Nano Ledger X, which I am open to other Bitcoin flash drives if anyone wants to say anything about that, or self-custody wallets. My bad. I am open to other ones, but yeah, I've had the Nano Ledger X for ever since I've essentially gone on to the cold storage. And I mean, it's been very convenient. If I ever want to move it anywhere, like I mentioned to Kaysha earlier, I sent money to Dubai, or so I paid someone in Dubai for a video that they're helping me edit a while back earlier in the year. They didn't want US dollars, so I was like, all right, okay, Bitcoin's convenient. And obviously, I didn't want to send the US dollar necessarily, because I'd have to send it to all these different banks, and I mean, God knows how many on our side, and then international banks, and that would take a week. So I wanted to
Not
do
to
this
mention the
instantly.
cost.
And transaction fees are crazy, and not to mention they could take your money along the way, and it's just gone. So
But what
it's
about
really.
conversion rates? How does that work?
What do you mean conversion rates?
Like, because how you said before, like if it goes to, when you're going through doing international transfer, you have to go through so many banks, but you also have to do the conversion rates are also trash because they're going through the banks, which makes international sending money even worse. Like, is there any better conversions aside from the convenience of actually sending it that way? Is the conversion rate equivalent or better to what you're going to get at the bank?
So it's
all the same. It's all the same around the world. 1 Bitcoin is the value of that Bitcoin at that time.
Yeah. So
you're not paying
1
in
Bitcoin is
currents.
always. Yeah, so it's all worth the same, but essentially, if you wanted to send, there are transaction fees for sending Bitcoin, which is very very minimal. But sending fiat currency from bank to bank, you're going to be paying a ton of fees. It's very costly. I mean, I think I sent because I actually had a guy from Uganda on my podcast earlier in the year, and he was it's a really cool story. He actually, I think he's still there. He runs an orphanage, and he's a former refugee. And I decided to send the village like a bunch of gifts and a bunch of stuff for the kids, and they ended up getting it. But it was like they didn't have access to traditional finance like how we did. And I really explained like Bitcoin to the guy, and he was like, "Oh my goodness, that makes a lot of sense," because where they're at, I don't know if it kind of going off topic, but in Nigeria, essentially their currency is completely destroyed. It's like the Nigerian naira has lost like 100% of its value, I think, over the last year. So like they're really like, most of them actually like Bitcoin because their currency is so terrible right now. But yeah, so yeah, back to the transaction fees. Yeah, when you send money via cash or fiat currency, it's a lot more costly, and you're obviously you're going to be monitored by the government. That's why the advantage of Bitcoin, it's decentralized. The government has no say. It's completely anonymous from peer to peer, from the sender and receiver. So there's so many attractive ways about it. Like and obviously like cross-border payments is the most attractive way or appealing way to use cryptocurrency. But I think we're starting to see that even day-to-day consumers can find valid reasons to use Bitcoin.